Testing. All right, can everyone hear me? Good? Thumbs up? Okay, perfect. Candidates, good? Yes? Okay. All right, we're going to get started because I know we have a lot of questions to go over. For the 2022-2023 academic year, we want to thank each of the candidates who have chosen to attend today that are relevant to our student body. The mayoral race will be determined by your votes on November 8th, so we encourage each of you to make a plan to vote, and if you need to register to vote, you probably saw up front when you checked in, we have iPads up there to check your voter registration, make sure your address is up to date. Our team would be happy to help you out front. And we'd also like to give a shout out to UCI Community Government Relations for helping us co-sponsor this event, and I will pass it on to Christina.
Hi everyone, my name is and I'm the Local Affairs Coordinator for the Office of the External Vice President for this year. We just want to welcome you all to UCI and Irvine residents just for being here with us. We're really grateful. Today we are joined by 4 out of the 5 candidates determined by the planning committee for this event. The questions have not been seen by anyone outside of the planning committee for the debate. Only potential topics for the debate have been shared to the candidates. Rules of decorum. First, candidates must be respectful. No inappropriate language may be used at any point during the debate. Please use factual statements. Please remember to refrain from using your cell phone during the debate. Please refrain from attacking another candidate's character. Please refrain from eating during the debate. Water or other drinks are permitted. Lastly, when answering questions, please direct your answer to the moderator. And I'll now turn it back over to Nini to go over the structure.
All right. So during the debate, you are allowed to write down any question you may have on the note card provided to all of you. If you need one, please raise your hand and one of our staff members will grab you one. You can also write multiple questions on the note cards. And we have staff in the aisles who will then collect your note cards for the public question period. All questions will be vetted in the interest of time, and candidates will have 2 minutes to give their opening statements. For these statements and for all timed portions of the debate, we have provided a timekeeper for the candidates' convenience. Michelle, please. Yes. So Michelle will be raising a red card when you have 10 seconds left to speak. Candidates will be given a brief buffer past elapsed time, but moderators will verbally signal a stop if you go too far over time. I don't think we'll have any issues with that. Before we begin, we would like to make it clear that each of the 5 candidates running for mayor were invited to attend today's debate, and each candidate in attendance has agreed to our rules. Now at this time, we will begin with opening statements. Mr. Moon, you will have 2 minutes to speak whenever you're ready.
Good evening. I'm so pleased, glad to be here with ASUCI forum tonight. I'm Simon Moon, running for Irvine Mayor. I believe it is time for change. Irvine is one of the top cities in America with beautiful parks and our environment policies and protecting our quality of life for families and for our outstanding educational opportunities. We all know that we are one of the top cities. However, crime is on the rise with expanded development and causing excessive traffic. As a mayor, I am committed to a strong public safety in our community, fiscal responsibility with no new taxes, honoring our veterans, and controlling overdevelopment, and ensuring we have a transparency at our city hall. This is my personal statement. My first duty is to serve and protect Irvine residents. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moon. Our next speaker in the order will be Mr. Tallman.
Thank you very much. My name's Tom Choman. Our family has lived in Irvine for 25 years. I moved out here from South Bend, Indiana 37 years ago. And we've all of our children have attended public schools. My beautiful wife works in the school district, and we love it here in Irvine. But you know, what got me involved, people ask me, why do you want to run for mayor? And you know, I've done the snack bar, I've done the coaching the kids. I've done a lot of volunteer activity over the years. And what got me involved about 3.5 years ago was the Veterans Memorial Park and Cemetery that's been tossed around for the last 12 years. One of my friends was asking me about the trade of the land, 125 acres for 100 acres to make the Memorial Park near the freeway, and felt that was a little wrong, and I kind of dug into it. 2.5 years ago, I put my name up for the city council when someone, I think Don Wagner, got his office for the county supervisor, and got involved with the veterans group. And what we did, we needed to have initiative, a petition that we went around the city, and I was the kind of coordinator for 150 plus volunteers. We got 19,790 signatures from Irvine voters and registered voters to pass our initiative to make the Artist site a 125-acre memorial park and cemetery for the veterans. There is not one in Orange County. There is one in Riverside, there's one in LA, and you know, that was March of 2020, and in May 12th of 2020, the City Council in a 5-0 vote voted to accept our petition and make that the law of the City of Irvine. And 125 acres we want built on the Artist site, and so I'm involved, and I'm going to keep moving along for the veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. Next up is Ms. Khan.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I want to thank ASUCI for hosting today's forum. A little less than 2 years ago, our city was struggling through the pandemic and social injustice issues. We had leadership that was irresponsible, and we wanted to make sure that we set the record straight. So when I was elected mayor in 2020, becoming the first woman of color to be elected mayor, I turned that around. Since January of 2021, with my leadership and the support of my council, we have created the COVID-19 task force, which really brought together our health experts to make sure they were guiding us through the pandemic, making the right decisions, and also opened the business reopening task force, which really brought together our business community in making sure that we were making the right choices when we were talking about whether we're dining outside, permitting, and getting them back on their feet. And throughout this work, we came out of the pandemic as one of the most vaccinated cities in all of Orange County. And with the support of my colleagues on the council and support from Dr. Douglas Haynes of UCI, we established a DEI committee. And this Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee has been working hard on policies and ordinances that really reflect who we are today in Irvine, building on that diversity and making sure that we're making our policies reflective of that diversity. And also during the rise of anti-Asian hate, we signed on to a resolution and established an online hate reporting portal in 7 different languages that really changed the dynamic of how we collected data on hate incidences. Our city's diversity is our strength. And for the first time in our history, we celebrated Mid-Autumn Festival, Pride, Juneteenth, and Hispanic Heritage. These were never celebrated before. And the reason that we did that is because we wanted to make sure that we were an inclusive city. And with that, I'll have more to share later on, but I do hope that you consider me to rerun for re-election for the next 2 years. I'm one of the only candidates up here that has been endorsed by a multitude of organizations that have known my work for not only being on the mayor's seat, but also in council. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan, and finally we'll hear from Ms. Lynn.
Thank you, ASUCI, for this event tonight. Anteaters, it's great to be back on campus. I'm Branda Lin. I've lived in Irvine since birth. I attended every level of public school here in Irvine, and I even graduated from University of California, Irvine, with a bachelor's in music performance as well as political science. Professionally, I've worked as a litigation paralegal for over 20 years in New York City and Orange County. Now, I'm a proud mother to 2 children who attend public school here in Irvine. Having watched nearly every city council meeting in the last 4 to 5 years, I'm well versed on the challenges facing Irvine. In 2018, I, along with a group of dedicated Irvine residents across all political parties, started a nonprofit called Irvine Watchdog and have been reporting on the decisions being made at City Hall to promote transparency, accountability, and honesty in our local government. I also served as an Irvine Community Services Commissioner. In the past several years, I've helped numerous community groups navigate our local government because I believe everybody deserves to be heard. Now, before we begin the debate, I want to provide some context for everybody. Right after the 2020 election, our current mayor's very first policy which she and Councilmember Anthony Quo rushed through and approved, was an agenda-setting policy that resulted in over 15 items that Irvine residents cared about the most from being given a public hearing. It was a fundamentally undemocratic policy that was used to ignore over 15 important items. What you'll hear on the various issues will be examples of failed leadership over the course of the current mayor's term, time and time again. This race is about reckless spending, ethics violations, and irresponsible development here in Irvine. I'm so thankful for this opportunity to bring these issues, these important issues, to light, and I hope to earn your vote tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. And I just want to flag that there are 4 seats up front that we were reserving for our ADA friends, but in case anyone wants to fill up those seats, I know we have a couple of people standing in the back, just letting that be known. We will now begin the debate period. As a reminder, you will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond to the question. Amid an ever-worsening housing crisis, UCI students did not have access to affordable housing off campus, with the median price of rent in Irvine being $3,970 afford attending classes or take out substantial loans. Mr. Tallman, your time begins now.
Thank you very much. You know, I've read another article today about students up at other universities also having the same problem, and it's very expensive here in California and how they can do it. And that's a concern. You know, I was blessed to live in a dormitory when I was in college, but here we have many different homes and apartments here in Irvine, and I think, yes, we can all start building more apartments and taller buildings to get the housing there. But you know what? Why don't we use our citizens of Irvine? We have houses that people are retired in and have extra rooms. Maybe they want to rent out their room to somebody. Let's work with the UCI to have community. And that way we have empty rooms that we can fill up. I don't see why we can't do that. I also think maybe the city can get more involved in the student housing situation by coordinating with UCI and the apartments off in Irvine. And I just think we need to get the citizens involved a little more for the immediate future and help the students out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Moving on to Ms. Khan.
Thank you. So on our city's website, we do have those open apartments or open bedrooms. But you know, when looking forward, we are assigned ARENA, Regional Housing Needs Assessment, by the state to plan for 23,000, a little over 23,000 units. And in the past, we've done that, but we haven't focused on affordable housing. And this time around, our focus while planning has been on affordable housing, making sure that we are generating the units that we need to accommodate the need of our community, including our students. We've been working closely with UCI, making sure that they're continuing to develop on campus while we develop off campus. The days of no more development are gone. We really need to focus on developing and developing for the need of the community to make sure that we have housing for everyone. That's why recently we joined the Orange County Finance Trust, Housing Finance Trust, to make sure we are getting the funds needed from the state and federal government to get those projects going.
Thank you, Ms. Khan, and now we will hear from Ms. Lynn.
Thank you. There are a lot of apartments nearby. The biggest landlord in this city of Irvine is the Irvine Company. What I believe we need is a strong mayor that is independent of real estate developers and that can bring the city as well as the university together. The current situation is sometimes there are 4 to 5 students per apartment nearby across the street from campus. And what they require is a deposit first month and last month, as well as a guarantor. And a lot of times it's hard to obtain this money. And a lot of the students don't receive them after when they are done with their rent. We need to make sure that we have a mayor that brings the parties together, including the university, as well as the Irvine Company, and have that removed. It makes it a barrier into entry to get these apartments for these students. And we need to make sure that the leadership from the city of Irvine is independent of real developer money. I'm proud to say I haven't received a cent from any real estate developers. Can't say that about our current leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lin. Finally, we'll hear from Mr. Moon.
All right, thank you. I moved to the United States as an international student when I was 25. Then it was in Tucson, Arizona. Then I just paid about, you're from there? Wildcats. Sorry. And I just paid $420 for just a 1 or 2 bedroom house and with my wife, but still a struggle at that time. But now we cannot afford that. And housing is closely related to our quality of life. And restoring quality of life is the reason why I'm running as a mayor. In our city, we still have a lot of inventory existing with existing apartments. As we have a large inventory of apartments, I will work with our development partners to CI and other university and colleges for including our residents. And instead of looking to build another additional development apartment complex, we have to make sure to secure our city, and this public safety is my priority. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Before we move on to our next question, we're just last year, the city of Irvine pledged to be carbon neutral by 2030. Other Southern California cities have begun pushing out natural gas in newly developed homes and businesses, though Irvine has yet to take any action. With the council failing to provide a plan for their carbon goals, how will you implement policies that address our ever-worsening climate crisis and get Irvine back on track to meet its carbon goals? Mr. Tallman, you have time when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Yes, I definitely believe in the climate change, and we need to act here better, stronger in Irvine. And if I was mayor, one of the first things I would encourage all the homes in Irvine, the current existing homes, to get solar power in the energy. We currently have a 30% tax credit from the federal government. The state has nothing, the city has nothing. Most cities don't do anything. My suggestion would be to have a 10% tax credit for all houses in Irvine, and by 2035, to kind of go along with the electric cars, have all the homes with solar power in Irvine, and that would help with the gas emissions. Walk the walk, talk the talk. Just a month ago, we put on our solar panel in our house and our electricity bill. We haven't even got the first bill yet. We're expecting it to be 0. But that's our part, one at a time, to get this done and put solar power on here. And I think that's the way to go with all our sun that we have here in Southern California. One of the largest contributors to climate change are gas cars. Yes, we all have a car, but I think we need to have more mass transit here, and it would start like at the airport and getting everybody from the airport to Disneyland to the Irvine Transportation Center, and get cars off the road. We can't just keep widening our streets to 4 to 6 lanes and keep hoping that no more cars come here. We need to get mass transit, we need to work with the federal government, and we need to get it started now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and now we'll hear from Ms. Khan.
Thank you so much. We passed a resolution to become carbon neutral by 2030, and right now we are working on our climate action and adaptation plan, making sure that we have programs and services in place to achieve those goals. One of the things that we learned from our study was that one of the biggest emitters in our city was transportation, followed by housing, electricity, and then gas. So we have plans in place for our transportation, including our transit vision study. We have plans in place. We have outreach meetings going on with our developers to make sure that they're upgrading their buildings so we reduce those emissions. Not only that, but we are asking people to convert to renewable energy. That is so important. If we're going to convert out of gas, we have to make sure that we're at least moving towards renewable energy. Otherwise, it's not going to help us any, because emissions come from electricity as well. So getting renewable energy helps reduce those emissions, and then we can reduce our gas and cut off gas lines for new developments, and then we'll be on our way to achieving that goal.
Thank you, and now we can hear from Ms. Lynn.
You heard great ideas from the previous 2 candidates, but in order to deliver on these ideas, we need a climate action plan. Irvine still, despite spending $450,000 and promising to bring one, still does not have one. Now, President Biden as well as Governor Newsom have allocated money and funds for climate initiatives. If we as Irvine want to secure that funding, we need a climate action plan. That's one of my priorities. We need to get started day one in order to provide incentives, subsidies for our residents and bring them back home so that we can encourage, especially the old homeowners that need to renovate their homes, to going non-gas routes. But again, it's priority. And we need to make sure that we have measurable deliverables. We have ideas, people throw them out there, but at the end of the day, what's getting done? What have we accomplished? That's what matters at the end of the day. And how do you do that? With deadlines, with follow-up, with measurable deliverables, and making sure that you engage the community, bring them along, inform them so we know what's happening along the way. This is another example, in my opinion, of failed leadership in our city. It's frustrating because there is an urgency to this matter, I feel, and there was a lot of great initiatives that were brought forward, including the Orange County Power Authority, which I'm sure we'll get into, and I'm assuming there's going to be a question regarding this. But that's another example where it was a great idea, but executed horribly, and now we are in trouble. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and now Mr. Moon, you can go.
There's been so many enough responses for this question. And as an elected official, we have a unique opportunity to work for our climate. And we must work with multiple the state and county agencies to have coordinated objects to conserve our the water supply and protect our communities in the dry season from the fires, ensuring our air quality is safe. And I support continuing the city's 2016, I remember it's non-toxic pesticide program, using only the organic sprays in our open space in our great green belts and city parks for weed abatement. We can start from our local level, then we can work with our state and county level, then make sure we are move forward towards the securing our planet for the greenhouse energy. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I have a rebuttal real quick.
Yes, you
Thank
can have
you.
30 seconds.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that everyone understands we do have a climate action and adaptation plan. We have a study that was just completed. We have the data that we're now using for outreach to make sure that we are involving our organizations, our businesses, our developers to be on board with the policies that are going to come out next. And as far as the state and federal money, yes, the federal money and state money is out there, but it is not yet available. We have already applied and we're in the process of getting that money, but it's not being distributed at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moon, and thank you, Ms. Khan. Oh,
I'm sorry, I have a quick question. How does the rebuttal work in terms of, can we respond
Yes.
in response to the response?
each candidate can have 30 seconds of a rebuttal per question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moon, and thank you, Ms. Khan. Moving on to our next question. This past August, the city failed to pass a resolution that would have allowed voters to decide whether or not district-based elections are held. The prospect of district-based elections, many argue, will allow for more grassroots campaigns to be run and resolve the dilution of residents' concerns regarding residential matters. Do you support a transition to district-based elections? Why or why not? We'll start with you, Mr. Tallman.
Thank you. I am 100% behind district elections. Yes, it definitely, right now we have 4 at large and the mayor. They handle 311,000 people. We have an asphalt plant in the northeast part of the city. You know, again, most of us don't smell that because we're in different parts of the city. If we had a district elections and a city council member there, they would help that area much more than they're getting help right now with the at-large elections. My answer to this is to do 6 council members per district and 3 at-large districts plus the mayor. That way we kind of have a good overall feel for the city. We can still keep our at-large presence and keep going, and that way 6 districts council members will only handle 50,000 people instead of 350,000 people. Also, it'll get more people involved in the process. Okay, right now, whether you run for city council or mayor, you have to go out and get 315,000 people to listen to your message. It's not only time consuming, it's expensive. Let the mayor do that, let the at-large people do that, let the district council members represent their districts, the people that they live in and close by, And I think that will help us with people like the asphalt plant and the great park area that really has no representation now, but pays out millions of dollars in Melrose tax. So I am 100% for the elections, and I think we need to get them sooner than later.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. Moving on to Ms. Khan.
Thank you. Yes, I do support district elections. I actually voted for it this time around. But the difficulty is we do have some members on our council that are concerned about the demographics of elected officials should we go to district elections. This is the first time in our history where we have a majority API council, and then there is some concern that that might not happen in the future with district elections, but we'll see about that. But as far as district elections go, they're good because they reduce our costs in running for campaigns, and overall bring better representation for our communities and make sure that we have neighborhoods that are represented on the council.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Now we'll hear from Ms. Lynn.
This issue is actually the reason I decided to run for mayor. I was on vacation with my husband in Mexico and family, and we were watching the city council meeting where a district election was up. This was a great way to increase representation in our city. We are 310,000 residents and growing. Our current mayor voted, and she said she supported it, but let me tell you about the process. We have a simultaneous voting process. It was not used before this current city council. It's a roll call voting system. It used to be simultaneous. All 5 city council members vote at the same time. You can't count votes, and the mayor, who goes last, has no advantage. That was not done. She got to count the votes and now is taking credit for being for district elections. However, for the first year and a half, that agenda policy I told you about in the beginning in my intro, that was used to not place this on the agenda for the first year and a half. If she's for it, then why didn't she second Councilmember Larry Agron's memo to get this on the agenda? Also regarding the justification for not supporting it because of the diversity. This is the first time we've had a majority API city council. We've never had it before. And the argument is given that, oh, we are a well-integrated city. Well, it's illogical to say that we are a well-integrated, diverse city and not support district elections, because no matter how you cut the districts, we are well-integrated and has the same population of different ethnicities, depending on whether it's at large or districted. That was an illogical comment, and it's been used by 2 council members, and we need to go to district elections as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lynn. And now, finally, we'll hear from Mr. Moon.
All right. To summarize, I also do support the district election. Looks like we all support, right? It's all about the representation, to provide a better and more stronger representation to our voters and residents. It's inevitable. We have to move forward to the district the vote. And I've been walking up about 100 doors a day. Then I just knock the door. Then they all agree that they have been, neglected or abandoned to our city hall agendas. As getting older than being neglected from the mainstream, they feel like we need someone who can represent their needs and their thoughts. So yes, I do support the district voting. Thank you.
Can I have a rebuttal?
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. Mention here that she tried to get districts election in the last few months. The difference between the current leadership and when Tom becomes mayor is within my first 30 days, we will have district elections, period.
I'm sorry.
We'll hear from Ms. Khan, then Ms. Lynn. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to be clear on how local government works, nothing gets passed, nothing moves forward unless you have 3 votes. Thank you.
And my rebuttal would be, it needs to go onto the ballot. It's not something that could be decided by the mayor alone. So we would need to give it to the voters, so it wouldn't be voted on until 2024 at earliest. We could have gotten it on this election, but our city council did not move that way. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our next question is, recently the Los Angeles City Council has been under scrutiny for the racist and despicable rhetoric spewed by multiple city council members. During a time where trust in local government is at an all-time low, how will you work to ensure transparency and accountability within the council as mayor? Mr. Tallman, your time begins now.
Thank you very much. Good question. Again, Irvine is a pretty diverse city. I grew up in South Bend, Indiana. My high school of 1800, we were 30% people of color. I grew up there. I moved to Irvine, and we are a completely diverse city also. That's something I grew up with. I think what we need to do is be more outreach. As mayor, I will have different meetings around the city and at UCI to get to know the people better, find out what's really causing the problem, where we're at, if we have the problem in certain areas, and try to listen to them. One thing I believe in listening to the constituents, I have 2 ears and I have 1 mouth. I believe I'm given 2 ears to listen twice as much as I talk. Now I'm in sales and now I'm in politics, that's very hard. So it's something I have to practice, but this is how I would do it. I would go out to the constituents, the students, the people, the senior citizens area, and get to know everybody and find out what's going on there. And if there is a problem, try to address it and do it politely and nicely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Khan, your time begins now.
Thank you. One of the things that I have done in the past 2 years is make sure that I'm out in the community, making sure that we're hosting meetings, having neighborhood gatherings, coffee with the mayor, Taste of Irvine food tour, bringing communities together while we eat over dinner, having our newsletters out there on a monthly basis, providing updates, being on social media. And at the end of the day, really, it's all about how you're perceived in the community. I get pulled over by people walking their dogs as I'm walking my dog. In the grocery store, those are the conversations that we're having with the community on a daily basis. So it's not just about how many times you have a town hall, but it's all about how accessible you are. And I've made myself as accessible as possible through multiple avenues so people can reach out, have those conversations, and then they know that they have my ear.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, your time begins now.
Thank you. So this is where, having watched nearly every city council meeting in the last 4 years, it comes into play. There are a lot of issues, and there have been a lot of issues, and then, unless you're watching the council meetings, you will not know. One is how to increase transparency. We need to ban cell phones. The council members, including our current mayor, use their cell phones on the dais. Now, according to the Brown Act, these are supposed to be open, transparent meetings. We don't know who's texting them, what they're saying, if they're trying to influence their vote, and I've spoken up at city council meetings again and again during public comment asking them, please ban cell phones. It goes against the spirit of the Brown Act. There are other in the city of Irvine, including the Planning Commission that decides on land use and development. These are important meetings. We need to make sure that there's more transparency. It's easy to do. We have the technology to do it. All they need to do is get a staffer in the back to turn it on. It's held in council chambers, so we need to televise all commission meetings going forward to make sure that everyone can watch from the comfort of their home. 3 is we need to take away the power that council members currently have to appoint commissioners and committee members. We need to make sure that the commissioners and appointees don't work for the elected who appointed them, but they can really freely serve the best interest of our city. It's been used as political favors. They're not free to ask questions and do what's in the best interest of Irvine. And how do I know? Full disclosure, I was a commissioner for our current mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Moon, your time begins now.
All right. For the transparency issue, we have to ensure that the city council is transparent and open to the public as an open government as we expect. We should expect a complete transparency. To improve that, first, I believe it's better to move back to the previous public comment policy, which allows that our residents can speak in each business item for a full 3 minutes. And we have to make sure to protect our residents' right to speak for their government. And second, I just support the posting meeting agendas as early as possible. So I will ensure to have the agendas ready between 12 to 14 days prior to the upcoming council meeting. Now it's kind of too short to see those the agendas, but I'll make sure to post it as early as possible. Thank you.
Ms. Khan, your rebuttal.
Thank you so much. Also, full disclosure, Ms. Lynn had 2 years to implement shade structures and failed. And so I just want to share that, she had plenty of opportunities to work and learn how local government works, and that did not happen in the 2 years.
I have a rebuttal as well.
Ms.
So
Lynn, your rebuttal.
our current mayor has stated that, she makes herself accessible, goes to a lot of community meetings. Let me tell you something. I believe in quality over quantity. I've been at these events where elected officials will show up, boom, take a selfie, take a picture, and they're gone. They're not there necessarily to work. They're not there asking questions and engaging at the meetings. Recently, there was one just recently that I attended as well, and Mayor arrived late, left early, took a photo, and posted on social media. It's not about quantity. It's about quality. Thank you.
I believe I have 15 seconds.
Yes.
Thank you. So with those 15 seconds, I'd just like to say, once out of so many events, if I show up late and leave early, is not what I am in totality. I stay for events, I talk to people, I'm there at the end of the event, from the beginning to the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. And moving on to our next question. Just last year, a former UCI student made credible threats to execute a mass shooting on UCI's campus. The student was sentenced to 3 years and 8 months in prison before he was released early in October 2021 and then subsequently arrested again in January 2022 for violating parole. UCI students were not made aware of the potential threat until months later, and like the rest of the country, there is growing distrust and fear on our campus. What preventative measures can you take as mayor to ensure that Irvine is not the next victim of our country's gun violence epidemic? Oh, Mr. Tallman, you may begin.
So this is my lucky day. I get to go first 4 times in a row. Boy, oh boy.
You're doing great.
Well, I know our Irvine Police Department is one of the best police departments in the United States. We are the safest city the last 8 years in a row. And, people want to work here and the safety of it. However, a little bit the gun violence kind of goes along with the burglaries that are happening, the house burglaries that are on the rise in Irvine that we're not taking care of. Now, one thing that's happened in the last 4 years, Irvine has probably added 75,000 people to their residents, and we've had 9 police officers to take care of that people. So basically what has happened is police, instead of a certain amount, say 2 policemen per person or whatever it might be, it's now a lot more citizens per policeman. I think when I become mayor that we're going to have to add more policemen to this, more detectives, and we're going to have to do some preventive outlook for shooters like this that think about it. And you know what? We need to get the word out sooner, not later. This isn't a hidden agenda when people's lives are at stake. And I think the students, it starts here. It can happen in any neighborhood, as we've witnessed in the last 10 years. And we have to be prepared for this. And I think by adding more police officers and supporting them 100%, that we can, help people out. We can't stop everything, but let's start by the police department and hiring more policemen.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. Moving on to Ms. Khan.
Thank you. So RIPD gets trained on an annual basis. Not only are they trained, but they also go out and work with our IUSD schools and teachers individually. And one of the things I want to share about the ratio, it's 1 to 1,000. And right now, if you talk to our police chief, he has the budget to hire more, but there is a limit to the quality of people that are available. And so he specifically stated that he's not willing to hire someone that's not going to meet our requirements. He'd rather take it slow and hire when the right person comes along, rather than hiring someone that's underqualified to our standards. And not only that, but before we get to the safety portion and the reaction, we have to look at the pre-notion of what's going on in our schools, and that is we are focusing on mental health. I recently held a town hall on mental health with our diverse communities, making sure people had access, but also the city installed Be Well OC, which is now going out to calls for mental health services instead of the police. and they only go out there when it's a nonviolent call. And this is really important because if we're going to get to the root of the issue, we need to make sure that mental health care is accessible to everyone in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Moving on to Ms. Lynn.
As a mother of 2 children, I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. Gun safety is hugely important for me. The fact that they have to do active shooter drills at schools is unnerving for me as a parent, and I'm proud to say that I'm a gun sense candidate from the Moms Demand Action Group. We have to make sure that information is disseminated as efficiently as possible and as thoroughly as possible. One thing I do think we can improve on as a city is exactly that. Getting information out to the residents quickly, not just through individual council members' social media feeds, because a lot of times they may miss it. So you may follow just one council member, not the other. What we need to make sure is that we have one source that everyone can go to that's also not politicized. I think it's important that this kind of information come from the city and get residents signed up into a process where you can get information via text or email as quickly as possible, and there's one source from the city. So we don't have to rely on so many different individuals, council members, as well as accounts. Those are my plans, at least in terms of disseminating information as quickly as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Moving on to Simon Moon.
Yes, thank you, Brenda. You have a 2, and I have a 3. I have 2 boys and 1 girl attending public school, and public safety is my top priority. And I'm serving in the Army Reserve now. I had a military jury last weekend. I'm serving as a chaplain that we have consists of all the mental health providers. We do support all their certification and their education, and to be ready to support our soldiers and wounded the families. But also, more than that, we put our efforts and the fund for our safety. So we have to feel safety for our home and businesses and the school. So as I believe that we have to provide more financial support to public safety department, and our budget should reflect our priority. That's my concern. So as we are seeing an increase in our the crime rates in our city, we must ensure that our residents resident safety is our top priority. So I will work on and ensure to improve our public safety for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so everyone is aware, IPD does have social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can follow them there. We also have an alert system in our city that we have used in the past that gives emergency information directly to residents' phones. We utilized it during the wildfires. And again, just a week ago, we were still named in 17th year straight the safest city in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our next question is, the Great Park Advisory Board recently had members resign as they felt they weren't being properly consulted regarding the city's plans for development. With the plans being constantly revised, taxpayers are concerned that these funds are not being used responsibly. How do you propose the council reestablishes trust with their taxpayers and follow through on their plans for the Great Park? Mr. Tallman, your time begins now.
All right, 5 in a row. I like it. I like to take the leadership role here. Especially on the Great Park. That's 1,400 acres that the El Toro sold us for $1 20 years or so ago that we have a chance to become a great park. One of the things that I think recently the City Council made a $200 million investment into an amphitheater and a water polo park on their framework, okay? When this city began in 1971, there was an urban planner, William Pereira. He called it a master plan, okay? The city right now is getting away from the master plan, trying to name it something like a framework plan with only a few plans, and they want to spend $700 million, okay? This great park needs to be a great park. Right now, I don't feel the residents of the Great Park are involved too much. I think they've tried to get them involved, but as mayor, I am going to go out and get the people in the Great Park that are helping pay for this to get more involved, to make more decisions like this with traffic, with 15,000-seat amphitheaters. All that type of has to come around to the master plan. It's ironic that right out the door here, that William Pereira, who is that urban planner that helped design our city, okay, he'd be rolling over his grave if he knew we're working on framework plans and not master plans. So let's get back to the master plan. Let's get what made us great. And as the mayor, we're going to have a master plan going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Khan, your time now.
Thank you so much. You know, for 12 years, we've been hoping and waiting for the Great Park to be developed. And in those years, almost $200 million has been lost, and we were stuck with the park and no money. Right now, we have been saving money, and we have the funds to finally develop the park. And the framework, what it really does, is takes the best out of that master plan and breaks it down so that we're actually building only those portions that we have money for. So when we're looking at the plan right now, the framework, it's looking at a botanical garden, lakes, meadows, forest, the amphitheater, the water facility that we need in the Great Park, and that's what we're going to be focusing on, making sure that we get that built before we move on to any other areas. And that, again, is going to mean next 3 to 5 years, maybe more, we're saving more money to be able to develop the next phase of the park. Having a big master plan without any money did not work in the past. We're still taking the best out of that plan. The lakes were in the master plan, the meadow was there, the forest was there. We're taking all of those concepts and bringing it into an area where we know we have the funds to build. And it's about time we kind of built this park because people have been waiting for it for a long time.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, your time begins now.
For some background, the Great Park Board is the board that decides on all the development for the Great Park. It's not the City Council, even though they're the same 5 City Council members that sit on the Great Park Board. That was not always the case. There used to be 4 at-large members, but in 2012, after that election, they removed those 4 at-large members, and so now we have the same 5 on the Great Park Board as we do on the City Council. What we need to make sure is that the residents have representation. They are paying the highest rate in Melrose, in the county, and it goes up every year, and it does not end. It's in perpetuity in the Great Park. We need transparency. The residents in the Great Park have asked for transparency. How much is coming in? What are the residents in the Great Park getting out of this money? And there have been no answers. Let me give you some background regarding the framework plan that the 2 candidates have spoken of. It was placed on a special meeting. We haven't had a special meeting regarding the OCPA, All-American Asphalt Plant, anything else, but they placed this on a special meeting before the election. And the amount actually for the framework plan is not in the millions, Mr. Tallman, it's $1.2 billion in bonds. 1.2 billion with a B. From 2013 to 2018, what happened after they removed those 4 at-large members from the Great Park Board, 5 Point came and asked for additional bonds along the way with a total of over $915 million. Now we have an additional $1.2 billion that was fast-tracked. The residents didn't get a chance to weigh in. They said that they've had numerous closed session items regarding this, but the public, we were left in the dark until it was brought forward on a special meeting. That needs to change. The community needs to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Mr. Moon, your time begins now.
As a new mayor, I will ensure the city is safe, and I'm going to control the overdevelopment. We have to make sure that all the taxpayers' money should bring back to our residents. For the Great Park, and our families in Great Park are paying the taxes without proper amenities and developed for their community. So I believe we must insist on their planned local retail services and should be under construction in 2023. And additionally, we have to make some budget to build the state-of-the-art library, ensuring our residents enjoy the benefits from what they have paid for. So I will ensure that we prioritize our budget spending. Then I will make sure to use our city budget for the municipal government issues to promote our safety, including in Great Park. Thank you very much.
I think it was Branda first. All right. Okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify regarding the amounts, Mr. Choman. It was 1.2 for the framework plan. It was 130 million for the Live Nation amphitheater, which, by the way, Live Nation, Max contributed to our current mayor's re-election campaign. And regarding the water polo facility, it's 50 to 80 million. This was on top of all the other fees I've told you about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Khan.
Thank you. It's really sad that $550 of contribution equals my vote, and that's not the case. But CFDs, speaking of CFDs, they do end in 40 years, and then it goes back to general taxes. A special meeting that we had was really to pass this item so we can get everything else done in time. We were supposed to get it done at the last meeting, but we overran our time. The importance of this legal issue that we're dealing with the developer is giving the city more control of developing the park. Before, the developer had control over the park and had a say in what gets developed, what does not get developed. Now we have full control of what goes in the park, and that was much needed. And so we, in closed sessions, yes, we had a lot of closed sessions, but that's what you do when you're dealing with legal issues and working with the developer and accomplishing those goals.
Thank you.
Then why, yeah,
15 seconds.
15 seconds. Then why haven't we had our public-private partner 5 Point show up to any of the Great Park Board meetings? We've asked as community members to have them there. They used to show up to every meeting. They haven't showed up in years. We can't make these deals without them answering to the public. Also, SB 1439, that's something to look into. Other state officials can't take more than $250 in campaign contributions. So the mayor is justifying receiving max contributions in Irvine. That's going to change under Gavin Newsom's SB 1439 that just got signed earlier this month and will go into effect in the new year. But
Thank you, Ms.
had we had that, this would have been in violation, that contribution.
Thank you. Okay. Before I move on to my next question, I just want to remind the audience to please be respectful. Our candidates are doing a very good job of being respectful of each other, so let's be respectful of other audience members and our candidates who have taken the time to sit on this scary stage. Next question.
I'd like a rebuttal.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, and yes, Branda, you were correct. I did talk about the $200 million that was spent on the amphitheater and the water park. That's what I was specifically talking about. But recently, last week, a $1.2 million bond was passed without much doing. And I remember when I was at the city council meeting for the amphitheater and the water polo place, the city manager said that the task force for the Great Park voted unanimously to approve that. Well, there was 15 people on this task force, and 7 of them quit because it was politicized. So we got to know that wasn't really representative of the Great Park, and we have to change that.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. Moving on to our next question. 2 years ago, candidates running for city council made addressing the All-American Asphalt a top priority. As more families move to North Irvine, concerns regarding the emissions, odors, and health implications have become more prevalent. However, it took over a year for the All-American Asphalt plant to be an agendized item on the city council meetings, despite residents voicing their consistent concerns. Recent proposals have discussed the idea of cutting ties with the plant, while others believe the city must maintain it. What do you believe is the best way for the city to best address this prolonged issue? Mr. Tallman.
Thank you. Well, yes, this is definitely an issue up in the northeast part of the city. From my understanding at city council meetings and talking to people up there, people have to close their windows. The benzene and the formaldehyde is atrocious on certain days. You know, on respect of the asphalt plant, they bought that property, 1993, fair and square. They were out there first, okay? We built houses around it. So now we have an issue. We just approved 1,100 more houses nearby it. That should have never been approved to begin with. If we got 600 homes already complaining. Kids are getting cancer. We aren't sure if it's from the plant or not, but it's a higher rate than normal, okay? The asphalt plant, this is where, again, going back to district elections, if we had a city council member that lived up there and smelled the formaldehyde, this would have been done way before. Back in November 30th, 2021, the city council was debating the AQMD, and we aren't responsible for it. Our state assemblyman, Dave Min, senator for the state, sent a letter to all the city council members and said, I remain convinced that the most effective and timely solution must come from the city of Irvine, not the state of California. You need to do something now. 11 months later, the city finally, passed something last week to make a small effort to get the asphalt plant, but I think we need to work with them. We need to move it. It's going to cost us money, but it's going to save lives, and we can build more houses there, and that's what the asphalt plant should be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Khan, your time begins now.
Thank you. So when we found out about the AAA, the asphalt plant, and the concerns that we had from our residents, we made sure that we were right on top of AQMD at the time, and they were doing their testing. I know UCI was doing testing, and also we hired our independent contractor to do air quality testing. And results from all three, when we were comparing them, came within the state's requirements. So that meant that they were not exceeding any of the required limits for emissions. But what we did do is we sued AAA. That's the first thing we did, and because we were in litigation with them, we could not discuss what we were doing openly in public. We were dealing with that with our city attorney. And from that came the settlement agreement. And in this last meeting, we did present the settlement agreement, which includes not only them reducing their emissions, but working with contractors and independent contractors to put excessive equipment to reduce those emissions, but also to relocate the facility. And at this time, listening to the concerns of the residents from North Park, we decided the residents did not want us to move forward at this time. They needed more time to review it, and so we pushed that out till the next meeting. And then one of our council members does live in North Park, so just so everyone understands that. Or Northwood, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn?
So this is another issue. Due to the agenda policy that I talked about, that was the very first policy that our current mayor placed, we were not able to be heard on this or put it on the agenda for the first year and a half. Now, while she states that, they were in litigation and that's the reason why we couldn't talk about it publicly, how is it that Councilmember Larry Agron was able to have a town hall with the residents? All they wanted was to be heard. They showed up meeting after meeting, lined up, including Northwood High School students, Korean, the private high school. Those students showed up asking, pleading for our council members just to meet with them to find a solution together. They can't open their windows. They can't go on walks at night. Some of the kids were saying they can't even play baseball because the field's right by the asphalt plant by the high school. This was an urgent matter, and you have to get perspective. The residents in that area have been fighting this for years. This is not something that just came up recently. They've been asking and complaining about this for years, asking for a solution. Because it's a public health and a public safety concern, I don't know what's more important than that. An independent former professor from UCI, Dr. Dean Baker, even took the time out of his life to go and do additional testing. He made tons of recommendations to the city council to do additional types of testing because there was benzene and formaldehyde and other toxins, and they needed to know to what level, and they needed a more comprehensive test. The one AQMD had conducted was insufficient, and that was made clear by Dr. Dean Baker. We needed more comprehensive testing, more regular testing, and we needed leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Before we move on to Mr. Moon, for Ms. Khan and Ms. Lynn, if you all could move closer to your mics again. I apologize, the live stream is not picking up y'all's voices, even though we can hear you perfectly fine in here.
Did you say, am I doing okay?
You're good. You and Mr. Tallman are okay. But I think for Ms. Khan and Ms. Lynn, if y'all could just make sure that you're right here, that would be great. Okay, and finally, Mr. Moon.
Yeah, finally. Thank you for patience. Then sometimes I feel like an advantage to be the last speaker. This is a critical one, right? We all feel like the same feeling. Don't make our kids as a victim. We have to do something for our next generation. All American Asphalt, we have to fix the problem. And also, they must be held accountable. And as a city councilman, city representative, city mayors, we have to make sure and ensure our communities are safe. So All American Asphalt is operating without proper licensing or, all these progresses, licensure. So we have to make sure that. And also, I am committed to ensure when elected, we take serious steps to hold this business accountable. So accountability and for our residents' well-being, their safety, that will be my concern. Thank you very much.
Your rebuttal.
Thank you so much. I just want to remind everyone that AAA is a private company that is legally operating, right? And they are so far, based on the data, operating within the requirements of state air quality monitoring. The second thing I want to share is that the residents group, they have been meeting with our city manager regularly. They have been getting updates with him regularly. I myself have met with the residents on multiple occasions, so the communication has been ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, your
Regarding the settlement agreement that was placed on the agenda just recently, again, right before the election, after doing nothing for the first year and a half, it actually wasn't a settlement agreement. It would have been a process that would have taken 2 to 3 years. So again, in perspective, the residents have already been fighting this issue for years, and now they're wanting to wait and work on a settlement agreement that wasn't even a settlement agreement for another 2 to 3 years. That's not the solution. We need to find the most expedient way to shut it down to protect our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. I'm going to give Ms. Khan 15 seconds, and then we'll get to you, Ms.
Thank you. One of the things we have to be careful of is we don't take our problems and put them in front of someone else's neighborhood. That is something that is a huge concern for us. So finding a location where they can be relocated to, finding them that land is going to take time. It's not, we don't have much space available in Orange County. We're looking outside of Orange County and doing the best we can.
Woo! Is everyone awake? Sorry, Ms. Khan. Continue.
Doing the best we can to get them relocated.
Sorry to my people on the live stream.
Thank you. A little rebuttal on that.
Does it represent our anger? Something like that?
You know, and again, like I said and Mayor Khan said, they own the property, they have the right, and we have to come up with a solution. It's going to cost some money. You know what? Why not take some of that money from the $1.2 billion bond that they passed last week, and let's help them out. Let's save our citizens. Let's save our children. Let's move the plant and get it done now.
Thank you, candidates. Our next question is, the city of Irvine failed to unanimously pass a resolution to denounce the overturning of Roe v. Wade. San Clemente is already trying to declare themselves as a sanctuary city where access to abortion is restricted. How will you ensure that reproductive health remains accessible in Irvine? Mr. Tallman, you will begin.
Well, thank you. You know, I think the state of California is extremely supportive of that. The state is supportive of it, and I'm going to follow what the state needs to do, and we're going to have the whatever we need to help the women out and do that, and I'm going to follow the state law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Khan, your time begins now.
Thank you. So I was the one who initiated the resolution in our city supporting reproductive rights and also stating that we needed to support the state to make that constitutional amendment and also send letters out to our federal representatives, making sure that they stood with us as well. We're in a great state where we do have our rights and they are protected, but at the same time, we wanted to get that message out, and we were the only city in Orange County to have such a resolution presented.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, your time begins now.
So I am actually a board member on the National Women's Political Caucus Orange County, and reproductive rights and the freedom for women to choose is actually one of our key issues. So it's something that I would support. It's not really a municipal issue, but what we can do and what Mayor Khan has done, to her credit, is a resolution. So I would be in support of that and support of women's rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Mr. Moon, your time begins.
Since this is not closely related to our municipal issues, may not, answer the question. But I will make sure to work with our neighboring cities and state level and county level governments. And I'm a pastor of church, and I'll make sure to help any person, people, a group, an ethnic group in need. I will help them to work together, then make sure their quality of life in our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moon, for the candidates. Moving on to our next question. Recent allegations have emerged regarding the City Council's role in the Orange County Power Authority. How will you work to maintain that the City Council is free from corruption while increasing transparency among corporate interests? Mr. Tallman, you will begin.
Thank you. The Orange County Power Authority. When I become mayor on the first day, this Power Authority is going to be done with. Okay, this is a boondoggle. This is not good for our community. We were told it was going to cost less and we were going to have more renewable energy, and it's actually costing us more. And with Southern California Edison, you can get the same amount of renewable energy. This was a good idea in the past, okay? Southern California Edison has caught up. They've done a great job. Matter of fact, you can buy 100% renewable energy right now as every citizen in Irvine and house, and you'll get a 10% discount. So just say our electricity rate, if you didn't opt out, is going to go up 8 to 10% next month when you see your first bill. Go to renewable energy for SCE, 10% down. You can save 20% by staying with Southern California Edison. Okay, there's no transparency in reporting from the city. We put in $7 million of our taxpayers' money to get this started. Okay, that's why we want to see the books. That's why there's a grand jury report out on the Orange County Power Authority, which we have 2 members of our council on the board and the appointed CEO that has never been in the electric business before, getting paid $239,000, and he only cost us $2.1 million back in Wave when he didn't buy enough electricity. So, you know, this is time. There's a grand jury report. The city's after them. The county's after them. Now the state's investigating the Orange County Power Authority. And I don't want that with our city, and it's time to get rid of it, and it'll be gone the first day I'm in office.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. Ms. Khan?
Thank you. The OC Power Authority is a community choice energy program. There's 24 others throughout the state. This is a good program. When we're talking about hitting our carbon neutral goals, when we're talking about getting more renewable energy, this is the path to get there. And yes, has there been opportunities for improvement, ways we could do things better? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's a great opportunity, and you have three choices with OC Power. You can go 100% renewable, you can get 70% renewable, or you could be at the basic rate, which is equivalent to SCE. Not only that, but SCE, we were hearing that they're going to be raising their rates in the next few months. We've already bought our energy through 2023, and we're not raising our rates. So we will eventually be lower than SCE, and in the long run, we'll continue being lower than SCE, and will be the only opportunity for you to get 100% renewable, because SCE is not offering that anymore. One other thing that I want to add is, yes, we're being audited, and I think it's great. I think it's great that we're getting audited multiple times because we want to show the transparency to the public. We want to make sure that they understand how it's being financed, where the money is coming, where is it going, how is it being used. And I'm openly welcoming of audits, whether they're at the local level or at the state level. And I think that's one way for us to prove to the community that we're doing the best we can to make sure that they have options and that we have goals that we can actually achieve when we talk about renewable energy and that we talk about going green. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn?
Thank you. So if our current mayor believes that audits are good, then why didn't she second Councilmember Larry Agron's memo that wanted to call for an audit of the OCPA? Community choice energy are good initiatives, and they do provide clean energy. But this one that Irvine started with our tax dollars, not a cent from any other participating city. We paid $7.7 million with a $35 million line of credit loan, all on our backs. And it has been crippled by cronyism since the very beginning. And what are we going to do about freeing it from corruption? I've watched nearly every Orange County Power Authority board meeting, and I've reported on them through Irvine Watchdog. And the Orange County Grand Jury report that Mr. Choman mentioned, one of my articles was actually cited in it, which I'm proud of. We needed transparency from the beginning. The CEO had zero energy experience, and he actually did not even know what a kilowatt hour was. He is being paid $250,000 almost of our tax dollars. He didn't even graduate from college. He didn't have a college degree at the time. That is a prime example of cronyism. We need to make sure we have a qualified CEO. The COO ended up resigning abruptly because of workplace harassment, and she even sued the CEO, and yet he's still there. We should have protected our COO. She was the only one with experience. She was an executive, a woman of color that we should have protected, and the board did not. And instead, the CEO, who is not qualified, is still there. We need to replace them, and we need to replace the 2 Irvine representatives that sit on the Orange County board. Or Power Authority board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Moving on to Mr. Moon.
Yeah, OCPA, they have, I don't know, they just place a huge fiscal debt on our city budget. If this agency is not successful, it's going to be a burden to our all tax monies and taxpayers. I believe the city council should consider termination of the joint power agreement if it is applicable. And depending on the result of the audits, and the city has to take action to minimize the fiscal impact to our city. So I will make sure to prioritize our budget spending to make sure our taxpayers get all the benefits, not spending without any proper way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Ms. Khan, your rebuttal.
Thank you. I just want to make it clear, this is not a burden on our budget. It is a loan that the city has given to the Orange County Power Authority. And secondly, I just want to share that, again, I can't stress enough, if we are not moving towards more renewable energy, we are not going to achieve our climate goals. And finally, as far as Agrin memos, I've tried working with the guy. I can't compromise, he won't compromise with me. We can't move forward, that's what it is.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Please be respectful. Thank you. Mr. Choman, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Okay, I just mentioned a couple things that it's not taxing on the citizens. Last year, our bill for the electricity for the city of Irvine was $500,000 a month. Now it's $600,000 a month. I think that's taxing the citizens. I think the fact that we got a $2.1 million fine for inadequacy is going to tax our citizens. You know, you said that the mayor said, I want to see the audit. Larry Agrin's been asked for 9 months to see the audit. Why are we waiting now? Okay, show me the money. Show me the money. We want to see the books.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. 15 seconds.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, we did have our environmental activists that came to our city council meetings asking for a 100% renewable default. That's the reason that the city is at a 100% renewable default. We understand it's a cost, but again, is it worth reaching our climate goals? Yes, it is. And secondly, the money is there. You can go to the Orange County Power Authority's website. Transparency is available.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, 30 seconds.
You don't hear our current mayor talking about any of the qualifications or justifying our current CEO or the board, because there is no justification. He does not belong there. She's saying that we can't work together. She couldn't work together with Councilmember Larry Agrin. The memo was for an audit. What they approved recently was for an audit. What has changed? The mayor could have brought it forward if she had concerns regarding the transparency and the financial viability, but she did not. So we need to be sure to give credit where credit is due. Councilmember Larry Agrin, to his credit, did ask for an audit. Early on, he asked for this item to be agendized a second time, and it got denied. And now, right before the election, they're moving forward because the county and the state has pressured them and asked for an audit. Thank you.
That's not true. That's not true. I don't believe we have any issues with our finances. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. Moving on to the final question of this segment. Divesting from the police into alternative programs has been discussed in council meetings, but Irvine residents are concerned about maintaining Irvine's safety with growing distrust between law enforcement and the community, specifically among students. How will you work to balance public safety concerns with police accountability? Mr. Tallman.
Police accountability with students and other individuals in Irvine. You know, hey, our police department has done a great job. I know they have some mental health people on board there. They focus on villages, and they take their sections to help everybody out. You know, I'm again kind of going back to the police department. I want to support them. You know, I want to get more police in there so we can address some of these issues. The police can't always be at the schools talking to everybody. They're stretched thin, and it's time to, and if we have to pay more for policemen to get better policemen, then we just have to do that. Again, why we can spend $1.2 billion, why can't we find policemen? And that's how I think we need to address this a little better and spend some money on the police department and keep it #1 in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Tanya.
Thank you. So our police do a great job of working in partnership with our community. One of the things they do really well is they collaborate with UCI's police, making sure that they're in communication. But at the end of the day, it really is all about training. We are making sure that with our DEI committee that our police department is aware of the different cultural aspects of our residents and our students, our workers, our businesses. They're getting trained on a regular basis. They're not only getting trained when they're first in their academy, but they're getting retrained on the force. So we need to continue doing that. I know pre-pandemic we were looking at possibly doing a speaker series for our officers, bringing in individuals to share their stories so that the police officers could see firsthand how some of their actions might be interpreted by individuals. And I think that's something that we can continue doing and making sure that everyone in our community feels safe.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, your time begins now.
I do agree with our current mayor regarding training is a necessity and working with the community to make sure that there's a trust built in. So community-based policing is wonderful. I believe that we should work towards de-escalation techniques as well as crisis intervention. We do have the top police officers, in the nation. But what we can do to increase that trust is to work more collaboratively with the community. I love all the ideas that our current mayor just shared, and I'd be in support of all of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Mr. Moon, your time begins now.
Yes, thank you for the last question. And the public safety and the fiscal responsibility is my top priority for this campaign. To ensure our city is safe, our budget should represent our value and our priority. So I will support more budget to our public safety department. And also public safety is all related to the traffic issues and overdevelopment issues. So I will make sure to be connected with the transparency and the fiscal responsibility in terms of public safety. Thank you very much.
You can go ahead.
Thank you. Just want to clarify, almost 40% of our budget goes to the Irvine Police. And just a budget and finance 101, when we're talking about Great Park funds, bonds, the general fund, those are all different buckets. They have different revenues and different expenses, so they can't overlap.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Any other? Okay. We are going to take a 5-minute break. I know you guys have been standing up there for quite some time. If any of you need help finding the restroom, it is a bit of a trek, so please find some of our staff members out there, and they'd be happy to guide you that direction. And for our candidates, if you need anything, you guys can step off the stage for 5 minutes. We'll be back by, let's say, 7:23. Okay, thank you all. I do.
I feel like it's loud enough. It's not loud enough.
We're gonna switch up.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sorry.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
안 들려요? TV에서.
Yeah.
Mic test, 1, 2. Mic test, 1, 2. Mic test, 1, 2. Mic test, 1, 2.
Mic test, mic test, mic test.
Oh, wait. Why would I ask you?
She was like right here, right? Mic test, 1, 2. Mic test, 1, 2. Mic test, mic test. This one's fine.
Mic test, mic test.
Oh, sorry.
Mic test, 1, 2.
Started with our public comment portion. Okay. Nine, we're not going to get to it.
Are they like
Yeah, it's best. How are you doing? One for each. They can. Candidates. All right. Okay. We probably have some stragglers, but in the interest of time, I know a lot of you submitted questions, so we're going to try to get to as many as we can. But we're going to get started. Thank you to all the candidates for your remarks in our first portion of the event and for answering each of our questions. That concludes the first part of tonight's forum. We will now move on to audience questions. As a reminder, you can write down any questions you may have on the provided note cards. That probably doesn't apply now because we have a lot. Thank you all for participating. Usually we have students out here and they usually don't give us note cards, so really appreciate that. So note that every question you will have 1 minute to answer, and we will start with our first question. Leadership means making tough choices. When faced with choices between prioritizing issues, how will you make those decisions? What information and people do you need to make those choices? We'll start with Ms. Khan. Yes, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. So basically, when you're making a decision, you're looking at getting briefed by the city staff, you're looking at community input, you're looking at any data that's available, and then making the best judgment at that time. And again, it's not easy each and every time, and I always tell people that we're going to be on different sides of issues at certain times, but know that whenever I'm making my decision, I'm doing it on the basis of doing the best that I can for the most of the people that are here in the city, and that's what's important.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. And moving on to Ms. Lynn.
I bring with me a team of individuals who care about our community. Is this on?
If you
Testing, that's on.
If you just pull the...
Hello. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I bring with me a team of individuals in our community who care about community service, who want to do good for our community. And that's why one of the things I'd like to do as mayor on day one is to remove the power for the council members to appoint. I want to make sure we have experts in our city with such skill. We're one of the most highly educated cities around. We need to make sure that we give equal opportunity to everybody in our city to serve Irvine's best interest, not the council member who appointed them. I want to make sure that we work with experts. UCI, for instance, I had a meet and greet in University Hills where a lot of the professors live, and they had mentioned to me, we never get reached out to. We'd love to serve and work collaboratively with the city of Irvine like we used to do. That's how we actually got a United Nations award years ago. We were the first city in the world to ban chlorofluorocarbons because we realized that it was hurting the ozone layer. And we received a United Nations award. That took leadership, collaborating with experts. I can't do everything. I don't have the expertise of everything, and I know that. So I'm willing and ready to work with others who have the experts in reaching out and being resourceful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Moving on to Mr. Moon.
Yes, leaders sometimes feel lonely when they have to make a decision because there should be a lot of critics. And I would say as a pastor of several thousand churches and a congregation and also Army officer serving in Army Reserve, always when I have to make a decision, I focus on the value. So when we focus on the value, not issue, then we can make a more better decision as I experienced. And for our city, when we focus on our city value, then or the value of our residents, then we can make a more better decision that it will bring more power and more the satisfaction to our residents, as I believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Did you want me to repeat the question?
If you could
Okay.
repeat it, please, thanks.
Leadership means making tough choices. When faced with choices between prioritizing issues, how will you make those decisions? What information and people do you need to make those choices?
Well, first off, leadership is listening to the constituents, listening to people, kind of going back to using my ears instead of my mouth to begin with. Two, having a good staff around you that you trust, and from different levels of people, whether it's Republicans or Democrats or independents or senior citizens or college kids, would be something that I'd look into and want to have on my team to get a very diverse view of Irvine and keep it going. And the leadership not only has to listen, but he has to act, or she has to act on things that they talk about. And if we see that the city's going in one direction and we feel we have to go that way and it's right to do it, then we can. So I just feel that being a leader is a good listener and acting on things that people want to do. Thank you.
Around 27,000 students reside in Irvine, yet their issues and concerns are consistently not addressed at the city council level. How will you guarantee that young people's voices are included? Ms. Lynn, you will be going first.
Sure, and I think this goes back to the policies that we have in place right now under this current city council that they put in, restricting our voice. We need to make sure that they all get at least 3 minutes again to speak. That was reduced from 3 minutes to 90 seconds depending on how many speakers show up. This has never been done before. This is a policy put in place by our current leadership. And if you show up to speak and you sign up after the first speaker speaks, then regardless, you still get 90 seconds. Again, we need to make sure that we make it easier for residents as well as students to show up and be heard. Public comments, they used to be at 6:30. What our council members did, or what this current leadership did, was they moved everything because so many residents were showing up upset regarding Orange County Power Authority, All-American Asphalt. They moved that time to the very end of the city council meetings. Now, I have kids, I had a job, I have to go home, make sure the kids are okay, drive to City Hall to be heard just for 3 minutes. Now it's changed to 90 seconds depending on how many people show up. And then it was moved to the very end of the meeting, so you have to wait hours before you're heard. Then, because residents were so upset, they decided to move it to the very beginning. Well, when our council meetings? 4 p.m. we're still at work. We need to make sure that we make residents heard and accessible. Thank you very much.
Now we'll be hearing from Mr. Moon.
Yes, thank you. We have to make sure and ensure that our city government is open government. So as Ms. Lynn mentioned, and we have to make sure our speakers have enough time. When they show up, they have enough time to bring their ideas and opinions. And also, it's related to our district vote. Then if we have a district representatives from our city in a different group, different area, different region, different town, different village, it will bring more power and more voice. Then every voice will be counted much more better than this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Mr. Tallman, you'll be next.
Thank you. How to get the UC Irvine students involved. That was 30,000 students here. Yes, they're close by, but yet they're far. They're very focused on school, they're very focused on campus, and it's something that we do need to get involved in. Something I thought about actually yesterday and today is, what if, as the mayor, I come here once a quarter, stand out here on the student center outside and listen to students for 2 hours, find out what they're doing, why they're voting, why they're not voting. Hey, you know what? You've got great technology here. Why don't we have a city council meeting here right on campus sometime and get the students involved? I know we can do it with technology today. We did the Zoom during COVID, and I know we can do this during here. We have to get the students involved, and when I get elected as mayor, I have spots to open up for interns and commissions, and it would be nice to have a UC Irvine student on my commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Ms. Khan, you will begin.
Thank you. So one of the first things I did was I initiated 2 student seats on our Green Ribbon Environmental Committee, and currently we do have 2 students that serve on that committee. And I also had the most interns. I think we had about 35 interns during our summer internship program, and these were also high school and college students. Besides that, I hold a quarterly youth council. This is open to all high school and college students. It's a drop-in on Zoom. Hear their concerns, see where I can connect them with, where I can direct them to, and take actions as necessary. Besides that, I think I've been on this campus for a lot of student events and meetings. Just this earlier today at 2 p.m., I was on the campus by the flagpoles for our Iranian and Afghanistani students who were protesting. And that's where they know how to reach out to me, they know that I'll show up, and they know that I stand with them. Thank you.
Moving on to our next question. If elected mayor, will you honor our veterans and move forward with the city ordinance on the 125-acre ARTA site and have Calvet build a Veterans Memorial Park and Cemetery? We will start with Mr. Moon.
As a serviceman currently serving in Army Reserve, I'll make sure to respect and honor our veterans and their service and their sacrifice for our generation. Irvine has been a very patriotic city, and the Bill Barber was the captain who had fought in the Korean War. They blocked the Chinese Communist Army. They could escape from the Hungnam port, then reestablish their force to make a counterattack. So we have to continue that legacy and leave a legacy to our next generation. If I'm elected, I will listen at every voices and work together with our city level officials and state officials to make sure we have built the promised great veterans cemetery in our great park. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Moving on to Mr. Choman.
Thank you very much. Again, as you learned, I got involved in this with the petition drive, 780 signatures. It was approved by the City Council in a 5-0 vote, May 12th, 2020. It is the law of the city right now, and there is no reason we shouldn't move forward. Every veteran in this room, every veteran in the city, every veteran in Orange County, every veteran in California, the United States, you know that Tom Choman has your back. We're going to bring a Veterans Memorial Park, and we're going to have it here in Irvine. Right now, they want a measly 6 acres, a minimum 20-acre memorial park to get started. We need to tear down the old buildings. We need to honor the veterans. My dad volunteered. In World War II. He went and defended our country in Solomon Islands. Fortunately, he came back, and I got to be here. And now I get to run for mayor, and I get to support the veterans, my father, and everybody else. And I'm going to stay here. Darn it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Choman. Moving on to Ms. Khan.
Thank you. We tried getting this veteran cemetery built in Irvine, and I know that there's been a lot of back and forth between people that wanted it at the ARTA site, and we have residents that live across the street from the ARTA site, and they have concerns about having a cemetery across the street as well. And I tried to do a compromise, having half of ARTA, half of the Great Park land, multiple times in 2019 and again in 2021, but no one seconded that motion. And so right now, where we're at is that we have 34 cities, the county, the state, and governor who just signed a bill to study the gypsum site in Anaheim. And that's where the cemetery is being studied, and that's where it might end up being. And really, it's not because that there wasn't a will, but we really had to come up with a decision that incorporated everyone's feelings. So when you're looking at residents that are living there, and they have cultural sensitivities against the cemetery, how am I supposed to make them force the cemetery on them at that site without looking for a compromise? And when the compromise didn't work, we had to move on to the next option.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Moving on to Ms. Lynn.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing saga in our city for much too long. What has not been done on this issue is a town hall, bringing all the stakeholders and all those who are interested together. As our former mayor stated, now we have over 6,000 residents who have moved into the Great Park, and there are concerns. However, this issue was voted on by Irvine voters, and then there was a referendum which the city council adopted, which is basically the equivalent as if we had voted on it and it got approved. They adopted it, took away our chance to vote on it for a second time and move it forward. What we need to do is bring the parties together. We need to try to mitigate all the concerns regarding the gun salutes and the concerns of the noise nearby at the school. We can do away with gun salutes or limit when they're done, when they're conducted for our city. We don't even need them. There are lots of restrictions that we can put in place if we were to move forward with the Veteran Cemetery to mitigate some of the concerns of the Great Park residents. But in the meantime, I'd like to move forward with the Memorial Park so that we can get rid of that eyesore, that big fence with the fake greenery, and make sure that it's open space that the Great Park residents can enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Our next question is 2 years enough time to decide on your campaign issues? How do you plan on utilizing this time considering the lag of local government? Our first person will be Mr. Tallman.
Could you repeat that question again, please?
Yes.
Just I just want to make sure I answer it.
Is 2 years enough time to decide on your campaign issues? How do you plan on utilizing this time considering the lag of local government?
Well, 2 years is how it's done here in Irvine. Most cities it's 4 years, and I think that would be more appropriate. But looking at the 2 years that we have, we just need to get started. There's a lot of issues going on here with the OCPA. There's a lot of issues with the district elections that we can get started. The Veterans Memorial Park we can get started. The American Asphalt plant we can get started. So that's really what I want to do. Whether all these get completed in 2 years, things take time, and that's something that with a 4-year term may make it a little easier down the road. But as a city council member, they do have 4-year terms. They can make those type of decisions. And as the mayor and the leader of the city council, that would be my job to encourage them to get things done sooner than later. And that's why you have a 2-year term, to get things done a little quicker, a little more urgency when you're mayor. And that's what I would do on these 4 subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. Up next is Ms. Khan.
Thank you. So most cities in Orange County either have a 2-year mayor or they have rotational mayors. And so, yes, it does take time. I'll share an example. The transit vision study that we're currently completing, I started in 2019. That was one of my memos to look at ways that we can improve public transportation and microtransit within our neighborhoods. And that's coming to completion now from 2019 to 2022. And so, yes, it does take a lot of time to do that. I think moving forward, the best option for us would be to implement or ask for a charter amendment that turns our mayorship to 4 years. And I think that's something that I would be really recommending for the next person coming in and making sure that they have that time that they need to do the job right.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn, you're up next.
Sure. One of my mentors once told me that if you don't care about who takes the credit or who gets credit, then you can get a lot done. And I agree with that completely. The 2-year term is very short. Being a parent and of 2 young children, I know what it's like to get on someone's case and making sure things get done. Did you do your homework? Did you get your piano lessons? What we need regarding all these issues are measurable deliverables. Follow-up. You create committees, you make sure that they report back to the city council, then you ask them for their next deliverable, when we're going to get it agendized again, when we're going to have follow-up updates and deadlines. Every meeting going forward, I'm going to make sure that we give them goals and tasks and then set a date for the next follow-up meeting so that we can track progress. That's what we have not done on any of these issues regarding the climate action plan, which we need. So we also need to make sure that we have sufficient staff. So for instance, regarding our climate initiatives, I believe that we need to make sure that we have enough staff at City Hall to help attain these goals, and currently that's one thing that I believe is lacking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Mr. Moon, you'll be up next.
Right, yeah, 2 years is short, but sometimes I have little palm tree. I had a palm tree now in my backyard, and over 2 years is, almost twice of my height. So even 2 years is pretty short. But when we adopt some good work from a previous or current the government, the city council, then we can continue it and develop it. And also we can start the new project in a newer area. Then we can bring it all together, make it more stronger. Then I believe we have the power. If we focus on the value, then we can make it even more better, more faster, more stronger. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidates. Moving on to our next question. What will you do to keep money out of politics, and do you promise to not vote solely on your donors? We'll start with Ms. Khan.
Absolutely. With us, with the limits that we have, $550 limits, to get donations, you do need to raise a lot of money in order to reach out to the entire city, and we have a large city. But my donors are based on the work that I do and the equity that I bring to the table. They are not getting my votes based on that $550 or any amount that they give me. And there are times when I have voted against those that have donated to me, and I have continued to make sure that they understand that that donation is to help me get reelected, it's not for their votes.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. And Ms. Lynn?
I've advocated for a while now that we need a strong recusal policy. Whether or not the state moves forward with SB 1439 and whether it's enacted or not, Irvine needs one to protect our residents from special interests. Now, if you look at the mailers that you have received over the course of the last week, I've received 7. And if you track some of the PACs, you'll see that the name of the treasurer for these PACs is the same as our current mayor's re-election campaign. This is a violation of ethics, if not something more egregious. We need to make sure that we clean things up. Who's funding these PACs, and why are we getting these mailers in support of our current mayor and attacking other council members? We need to go make sure that they're transparent, that these funds are made available, made known, who's funding them, and look at who they're supporting, who the big money interests are supporting. We need campaign finance reform. We need transparency in our campaign finances for our local government, and I'm proud to say I haven't received a dime from anybody other than residents like yourself, my neighbors and friends, and those who've come along the way on my campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Moving on to Mr. Moon.
I want to make our residents as a hostage. When we receive some money from a certain group, then we have to make sure to bring something for them, for in an ethical way and with the transparency. I will do my best to finish my race without any black money. Then I'll make sure to make it transparent all through the city council when I'm elected as mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. And finally, Mr. Choman, and then we'll do rebuttals.
Thank you very much. Yes, $550 is the limit everybody can give, and that's, people stick to that. However, there are PACs that money comes in that we know about or don't know about. I know that I haven't have any PACs rooting for me right now or sending out any mailers. But this is why I want district elections, okay? Right now, the last 10, 15 years, developer money, other money can come in and buy the city council and the mayor, and this is not any specific mayor or city council, it's just how it's done, okay? That they can come in and support them because the city's so big. And on behalf of the city and the mayor, we got to go to 315,000 people, and they need money, and if they can get money, somehow they do it. So if you bring in district elections, these developers and these big groups got to go to 6 city council members, and they're not going to waste their time because their vote isn't as important as it is right now. So we can get rid of this for the most part if we get district elections, and that's what I'm advocating right now, and I think that would be a big start. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Khan, your rebuttal.
Thank you. Just another point of clarification. When we're talking about political treasurers, I use Crummett and Associates. They're one of the best political treasurers out there. They have hundreds of clients. I don't know who their clients are. I've never met them in person. I submit my checks. They get my reports done. That's how it is. So associating me with any of the mailers that are coming out is unfair. Thank you.
Ms. Khan. Ms. Lynn?
We need to hold our elected officials to a higher ethical standard. They need to be above reproach. Now, I spoke to my campaign treasurer, and she wouldn't go near any PAC that would get involved in my campaign because it is unethical, if not illegal. She didn't want to hear about it. She didn't want to know about it. She wouldn't open a PAC to begin with that involved my campaign. We need to make sure that we hold our elected officials, again, to a high standard of ethics. That's what I've been advocating for with Irvine Watchdog, and I think that's much needed. Our current mayor has received campaign contributions, the max on Royce Apartments, which was approved along Michelson, as well as Live Nation. It's an $18 billion corporation. And why are we building this for them? We approved the building and construction of the Live Nation Amphitheater by Irvine tax dollars. Why?
Thank you, Ms. Lynn.
Thank you. The next question is, currently Strode's, and then streets and roads, like Jamboree, are dangerous to walk, lack shade, and do not have proper lighting at night. Additionally, bike lanes on these roads are extremely dangerous, not protected and treated as a shoulder. How will you improve walkability of Irvine? Our first up is Miss Lynn.
So protected bike lanes is something I believe our city needs to head towards in order to try to remove some cars. Traffic has always been an ongoing concern in Irvine. It's really, at the end of the day, difficult to get Southern Californians out of their cars. We're very dependent. And a place like Irvine, because of the whole village master plan concept, is we got a lot of homes and a lot of sprawl. It's really difficult to find a transit option, a public transit option that residents will use, especially because we have a lot of directions that residents are going. We don't have one main downtown. Each neighborhood, under the master plan, each neighborhood has a community center, or shopping center. So what we need to do is really think outside of the box. Regarding safety, protected bike lanes puts a barrier between the vehicles and bicyclists. During my meet and greets, I've had over 18 throughout the city during my campaign. I've spoken to parents from Northwood High, Portola High School, as well as those who go to University High School. The parents don't feel comfortable sending their children even on their bikes going down Culver or Irvine Boulevard because of the high speed at which these cars are moving. Other countries have used protected bike lanes. I think that's the way to move forward.
Thank
we
you,
need
Ms.
to plan.
Lynn.
And yes, I'd be in support of bike lanes.
Thank
you very much.
Up next, Mr. Moon, you'll be up next.
Okay. The traffic issue is annoying, right? Every day, drop off my kids is horrible in our city. Then it's all related to the overdevelopment and also public safety. Our city traffic center must be updated with more best technology to ensure traffic moves more efficient throughout our all streets. And I will make sure to enhance traffic management by synchronizing the traffic lights and to better increase traffic flow, especially at the traffic peak hours during the day, the rush hours, and make sure our traffic flow is better than this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Up next is Mr. Tallman.
Thank you very much. I have an urban planning background in Indiana, and I moved to Irvine, California, of all the cities in the country, because of the great planning. We do have wide sidewalks, we do have bike lanes, and yes, it would help on the bike lanes if we have cones there or lights in there to help cars see what's coming up. Something that's happened in my neighborhood that's very positive from the urban planning department they did was the crosswalks, actually, to make it safer for people walking. What they did, over on Culver and Walnut, they delayed the walk. They give you 5 to 10 seconds longer to walk across. No cars are turning at all. So you're halfway across the street. We need to do that at more corners, and then the left turn lane comes on. That is one of the best ideas I've seen in any city in the United States. And I think we need to do that more to our city, give the pedestrians the right of way and a little more time to cross the street to make it safer from what you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tallman. And up next, we'll have Ms. Khan.
Thank you. So we do have an active transportation study which is really helping us build those bridges right now. We have pedestrian and bicycle bridges that are going up throughout the city, making sure we have safer options for people to ride and walk throughout the city. We do have a plan for safe lanes to make sure that we have those protected lanes in place, and those will be going up shortly as well. And then comes the connectivity, making sure we have connectivity throughout the city so people can move around and get to their neighboring cities as well. And one of the most important things is the e-bikes. We do have a lot of illegal e-bikes that are being ridden throughout the city, and we'll be taking care of that at our next council meeting. As far as the transit vision study goes, that's what we're hoping to implement, are those smaller shuttles throughout our neighborhood, going to those local shopping centers, taking our kids to and from school, and making sure we get more and more people out of their cars using those shuttles, or then using the microtransit for smaller routes.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. And in the interest of time, this will be our last question. It's a bit of a fun one. What is your favorite thing about Irvine? And we'll start with Mr. Moon.
Oh, yes. Enjoying, yeah, it's going to be, actually, it's the first time to speak as the first, right? And thank you, Mr. Tallman, especially. Appreciate that. All right. I have 3 kids, and having fun with them at park and with a cold brew coffee under the sun and the shade area. That's my one of the best thing with my wife. We met in high school. So it's been 17 years and plus 10 more years as a middle schooler than a high schooler in South Korea. So yeah, with my family spending time at park, I love that our park system. It's beautiful, right? The clean streets, and I want to keep that our streets and schools and parks safe if I'm elected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Moving on to Mr. Tallman.
Thank you very much. I know how you feel, Simon. Back in Indiana, I went to school, got an urban planning degree, and one of my projects was to study the city of Irvine and the city of Oakland and how I could build them up. 20 years later, I moved to Irvine. Is that crazy or what? From little Bloomington, Indiana. And the reason why is because I'm comfortable with it. I thought it was a great idea, William Pryor, what he did. I love the 33% open space in Irvine, the parks, the walkways. We are so blessed to live here and have this master plan that we have going for us that started 50 years ago. I want to keep the master plan going. I want to keep the parks going. And I want children, families, adults, and seniors to use them all the time. And that's what I love about Irvine.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Ms. Khan?
So, I mean, open space is absolutely the best thing that we've got in our city that no other city has. But also, I'll have to share that one of my favorites is the cultural diversity and the restaurants that we have. I know we need to do a better job, and we're working with the Irvine company. We need to get them to lower their rent so we get better quality and more opportunities for people to do business in our city. But those are really the highlights of our city, is being able to go to any shopping center and get a wide variety of food from all over the world and be able to enjoy that with your family. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Finally, Ms. Lynn.
Yeah, I agree. That was going to be my answer. I'm just going to keep it real. It's the food. We moved back from the East Coast. My husband and I, when we got married, I was in New York City. Then we moved to New Jersey, which is lovely and beautiful. But there aren't very many options other than Italian. We're actually where we lived. So really, it's the food options. I love trying different foods. And my kids as well. I think it's going to be hard for them when they get older and go to college to go anywhere else, because we just have every option here in Irvine. So it's definitely the food.
Right. Thank you, candidates. Thank you, everyone who submitted their questions. We apologize if we did not get to yours, but we will now go to closing statements. Candidates will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to give their closing remarks, and we'll start with Ms. Lynn.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm running for mayor because things have taken a real turn in the last year and a half. Irvine has an ongoing FBI investigation involving public corruption, an ACLU letter regarding censorship, a letter from the League of Women Voters against an undemocratic agenda policy, and an Orange County grand jury report regarding the Orange County Power Authority. Reflecting on our city's history, there's so much good we can do on the local municipal level. It just takes focused leadership, working with and listening to our community, which I've been doing on the grassroots level for years. As mayor, there are large-scale issues as well as small-scale issues I'd like to tackle. Large-scale include the Orange County Power Authority, All-American Asphalt Plant, a climate action plan, as well as district elections. On small-scale issues, they include increasing public participation, ethics, and transparency. On day one as mayor, I'm committed to 1, creating a strong recusal policy against pay-to-play deals. 2, giving everybody their full 3 minutes again per agenda item for public comments to increase public participation. And 3, banning cell phones from the dais to increase transparency. Your vote for me is a vote for ethics, anti-corruption, and responsible planning for Irvine. I'm so proud of the campaign we've run. I've earned the support of Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, as well as NPPs, along with former teachers and professors here at UCI, which has really been overwhelming. Please get out and vote and spread the word about the candidates that you believe in, because at the end of the day, where we can affect the most change is here at home locally. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. Mr. Moon, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Thank you for hosting this wonderful event, debate tonight. When I moved to Irvine, our quality of life was much different than today. Our crime numbers are increasing, but it was really down. Then our traffic flow was better, and our development plan were less intense. We had a city government that allowed time for public speakers to speak at City Hall at a time we could attend after our workday. Now we must show up at 3 p.m. and also 4 p.m. to address the council or Great Park board on issues. This is inconvenient and unfair to those of us who work full-time jobs. I want to make sure the change is needed to bring us back to a community we are all proud to live in. We must ensure our citizens' safety is our top priority, and we retain our innovative planning with the knowledge that our spending must be balanced. I want to ensure we have a better traffic circulation flow and a safe and clean environment, and we retain the great quality of life. My statement is that my first duty is to serve and protect Irvine residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Moving on to Mr. Choman.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. You know, again, I go back to the four things that I am running on, and that is I support the Veterans Memorial Park at the Great Park. I want to disband the OCPA immediately when I become mayor. I want to close or relocate the asphalt plant, and I obviously want to advocate for district elections for many different reasons. But what I want to focus on, COVID's over, but that was, you know, I disagree with the mayor and how we responded to that. I think we did a horrible job, actually. And the reason why, remember, transportation, developer, and traffic. January 11th, 21, the LA Times announced Dodger Stadium was going to be a vaccination site by the end of the week. 2 weeks later, Disneyland became a vaccination plan. The doctors from here suggested we use the Great Park for vaccinations for the city of Irvine and all of south of Orange County. It took our leadership, city council, mayor, 4 months. On April 26th, they announced the Great Park drive-through. How many people might have died in those 4 months waiting for vaccinations? My family had to go outside of Irvine, Long Beach, Bray, and Seal Beach to get vaccinated. We have a great city. Why don't we be a leadership in that instead of a follower? And that upset me. You know, in actions cost, you know, we had a $50 million reserve we could have used for something like this. You know, just the other day, I heard the Senate race, and it was all because of we might have some traffic, and you know what? 15 months later, we added an amphitheater and add 5,000 cars, 500,000 cars a year to that great park. But one last thing, I heard on the Ohio State Senate debate the other day, and I think Irvine needs to hear this, and I think the city of Irvine needs to hear this. We need an ass kicker, not an ass kisser.
Thank you, Mr. Choman. Finally, Ms. Khan.
So thank you again for hosting today's debate. You know, leading the second largest city and the second largest city in Orange County and the 13th largest city in California isn't an easy task. As mayor, I have focused on solutions by collaborating with others. I have set the standard at our city council meetings to be respectful and courteous, even when we disagree. I know that my job is to represent our more than 310,000 residents, and that also includes thousands of our businesses and our workers that come into the city. I know that you rely on my leadership and representation to make the right decisions, and I do so with great concern for our community's well-being. It's easy to criticize the work that's being done and spread misinformation to create unnecessary discourse. But what isn't easy is actually doing the work and collaborating with many different individuals, communities, and organizations to keep our city moving forward. I know that my credibility is under attack through petty politics, but my record stands firm. From dealing with the pandemic to supporting our diverse communities to maintaining a robust budget, leading innovative programs, even starting a municipal farm to end food insecurity in our city, and keeping our city safe, I have been there. And just to share with you, look at all the accolades, the awards our city has received in the past 2 years, including us being invited to the C40 Cities Global Conference on the Environment, where we are one of 13 cities globally recognized for our work on the environment. I hope you will join me to keep our city inclusive, financially stable, environmentally sustainable, and progressing forward. Together, we will continue making Irvine the best place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan, and thank you to each of the candidates for engaging in tonight's forum. We want to thank each of you for taking time out of your busy campaign schedule to visit UCI and allow students to learn more about your priorities. We hope this forum was insightful for UCI students and the community members and gave the audience members an opportunity to understand the candidates' platforms.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about voter registration. UCI is actually in the ballot bowl competition right now, and we are 5th place. We're losing to UCSD, which we've never lost to UCSD. So if any of you know students, and for my students in here, please make sure you check your voter registration, and if your address, if you live on campus, please change it so that we can get some numbers up, because I would be really embarrassed if we lost. So yeah, and then we have a couple of last kind of ditch GOTV events coming up. Tomorrow we have Vote Fest. A couple of our candidates will be in attendance. It's just going to be a fun free boba at the Student Center Terrace. We're going to do some voter registration, get some students out. And then on Wednesday, we'll have our city council debate. It's the same time, 6 p.m., and it will be in the same area. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please do so. As we know, we ran out of room today, so please do that as soon as possible. And then, very exciting, on Sunday, we have AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If you know her, she is coming to UCI's campus on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. It'll be at the UCI flagpoles. They're hoping for a really, really huge turnout, so hope to see you all there. And then one last thing, just thank you to everyone for coming out to our debate tonight. This is our first in-person event of the year, and we're very excited to get back to normal. Thank you. And Christina, she planned this all by herself because we did not have any staffers as of late, so we do now, which are awesome, but Christina has planned our district attorney's debate, and she also planned this debate all by herself and the city council debate, so please give her a hand. She's been amazing. Awesome. All right. So, yes, the debate is over. Please feel free to stick around and chat with the candidates. I know we're running late, so just stick around if you have any questions for the candidates. We'd love to get a picture with the candidates as well. But thank you all for coming. Get home safe.